Picture this. You walk into a high-stakes business meeting or maybe a really crowded social event, right?
Okay, setting the scene. I like it.
Yeah, so you open your mouth and you speak in absolutely flawless textbook English sentences. I mean, every verb is conjugated perfectly. Your vocabulary is incredibly precise.
Right.
There is zero hesitation. But instead of everyone looking at you with awe and respect, they slowly start backing away.
Yikes.
Yeah. The room gets unnervingly quiet and people look slightly terrified of you.
Well, it's basically the conversational equivalent of the uncanny valley. You sound so technically perfect that it actually triggers this subconscious alarm in the people listening to you.
Right. And okay, let's unpack this because that is exactly what our mission is today. We have this fascinating stack of notes on the mechanics of communication, and we're trying to figure out why having perfect, ruthlessly efficient English grammar might actually be making people actively dislike you.
That's a huge issue.
It really is. We are diving straight into the core of a massive everyday debate here. What actually matters more when we communicate? Is it efficiency, like just getting the data from my brain into yours as cleanly as possible? Or is it empathy, which the sources call native speaker cushioning?
And I think this tension is so relevant, whether you are a language learner who's just, trying to string basic phrases together without offending anyone, or an incredibly advanced speaker trying to navigate the politics of a boardroom.
Exactly.
Because what we are going to look at today will fundamentally change how you view the actual mechanical function of the words you use every single day.
Because right off the bat, the sources point out this incredible detail. Like, if you speak in perfectly direct, unpadded English, you do not sound smart.
No, you really don't.
You don't sound authoritative. You sound like an HR manager who is about to deliver a severance package.
Oh, man. That is so true.
Right. You give off this intensely cold clinical vibe of, please sit down. We need to discuss the termination of your contract.
Which is obviously a terrifying emotional frequency to broadcast to your colleagues on a Tuesday morning.
Right, but wait, I have to push back on this premise immediately. I really do.
All right, let's hear it.
I am putting myself in the shoes of a busy professional here, or a language learner just trying to survive in a corporate environment. We live in the era of Slack messages, 15-minute stand-up meetings, and, bottom line up front email.
Sure, the whole hustle culture thing.
Exactly. Efficiency is drilled into us as the ultimate virtue. If someone struggles with complex vocabulary or they just want to get things done, shouldn't they just say exactly what they mean?
Okay.
Like, if you mean no, just say, no, I cannot do this. It's clear, it's honest, it gets the job done with zero ambiguity. Why are we suddenly treating efficiency as a conversational crime?
I mean, it is a great question, because in a purely logical world, you would be absolutely right.
Yeah.
But the problem is that human beings are not hard drives.
Okay, true.
We don't just blindly accept data transfers, right? We filter everything through a deeply ingrained social and emotional lens. You are looking at language purely as an information delivery system. But what the sources highlight is that words act as either social buffers or social attacks.
Social attacks, come on, how is saying I cannot do this an attack? It is just a statement of reality, it's a fact.
Is a fact delivered completely without a shock absorber. When you strip all that padding away in the name of quote-unquote efficiency, you are ignoring the physiological reality of how the human brain processes abruptness.
Interesting.
Yeah, using textbook directness isn't just efficient, it is a social hand grenade. When you toss that perfectly grammatical, unpadded sentence into a conversation, it literally explodes the rapport.
Because it's missing all those weird little softeners that native speakers scatter everywhere.
Exactly. Without those softeners, perfect grammar feels like a personal rejection. It kills the vibe of the interaction because psychologically, it signals to the other person, I do not care enough about your feelings to spend an extra 2 seconds cushioning this blow.
Okay, a social hand grenade. That makes sense conceptually, but let's pressure test this with a highly practical scenario, all right?
Let's do it.
So a colleague comes up to you and asks for a favor. Maybe they want you to review a massive, complicated spreadsheet, and it is 4:00 p.m. on a Friday.
Oh, the absolute worst timing.
The worst. You are exhausted. The textbook response, the perfectly grammatical, efficient responses, I cannot do this, I am busy.
Right. It is technically perfect.
Yeah.
Grammatically flawless. And utterly disastrous for your working relationship.
See, I still struggle with why that is disastrous. If I am genuinely busy, why can't I just state that? In my mind, I am saving both of us time.
Because the literal truth of the statement does not cancel out the emotional payload it delivers.
Emotional payload.
Yeah, when you say, I cannot do this, I am busy,
Yeah.
you might be saving, 3 seconds of speaking time?
Right.
But you just inflicted a micro-injury on your rapport with that colleague. Contrast that with the high EQ native speaker approach outlined in our notes here. The alternative to the grenade is something like, I would love to help, but I am actually a bit swamped right now.
Okay, stop right there.
What?
I would love to help, but I am actually a bit swamped right now.
Yeah.
I have to be honest, when I hear people talk like that, it sounds incredibly fake to me.
Really? You think it sounds fake?
Completely. It sounds like corporate jargon designed to manipulate me. Let's really look at this. Why we need to pretend we want to help when we actually do not. If I genuinely do not want to look at your spreadsheet, why am I legally required by office politics to start the sentence with, I would love to help? For a language learner, that is extra cognitive load. For an advanced speaker, it just feels dishonest. It feels like we are all participating in this grand shared delusion.
What's fascinating here is that your frustration stems from valuing transactional honesty over emotional reality.
Transactional honesty, okay.
Yeah, you are still viewing the interaction through the lens of pure data transfer. Like, I do not want to do the task, therefore I should state I do not want to do the task.
Exactly.
But we need to dismantle this idea that these softeners are fake. These filler words are not about dumping information. They are about high EQ relationship management.
Explain that mechanism, though. How is lying about wanting to help relationship management?
Because it ties directly into what the sources call the win friends mindset.
Right, the win friends framework.
Exactly. This is the understanding that a conversation is rarely just about the topic at hand. It is almost always about the underlying relationship. When a colleague asks you for help, your goal is not just to decline the task. If that is your only goal, you are failing at the social aspect of your job.
I mean, my goal is to decline the task without making them hate me.
Exactly. You want to decline the task while simultaneously managing the other person's feelings and preserving the long-term relationship. The extra words are doing a completely different job than the main verb of the sentence.
Okay, I think I see where you're going.
Yeah, the main verb delivers the no. The extra words, the padding, they're the shock absorbers that prevent the no from breaking the axle of the relationship.
Okay, let's dissect that specific phrase then, because the sources highlight swamped right now as a prime example of this mechanism. If we are replacing the brutally efficient I am busy with I am swamped, what is actually happening beneath the surface there?
Oh, this is a brilliant, natural, low-level softener for you to learn and keep in your back pocket. Think about the semantics of the word busy.
Okay.
When you say I am busy, it sounds like an active, personal choice. You are choosing to be busy, and you are actively choosing to prioritize your busyness over their request.
Yeah.
It feels like a rejection of them as a person.
Right, it's like saying my time is more valuable than your needs. That is what busy implies.
Precisely. But when you say I am swamped, what does that word conjure in your mind?
Swamp, obviously. You are bogged down, you are sinking in quicksand, and you cannot get out.
Right. It implies that you are overwhelmed by external forces. The swamp is happening to you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it completely removes the personal sting of the rejection. You aren't rejecting your colleague. You are just a helpless victim to the swamp of corporate demands.
Oh, that is incredibly subtle, but really powerful. It is like conversational judo.
Yes.
You are redirecting the energy of the rejection away from the colleague and onto your circumstances. It is not me versus you, it is me versus the swamp.
Exactly. And let's look at the other little tricks in that sentence. Adding a bit in front of it, a bit swamped, is another classic native speaker minimizing tactic.
But why minimize it? If I am a victim of the swamp, shouldn't I be drowning in it so they feel bad for asking?
Well, no, because if you dramatically claim you are drowning, you make the interaction uncomfortable in a totally different way. You force them to manage your stress.
Oh, I see.
By saying you are just a bit swamped, you decline the request while keeping the emotional temperature of the room perfectly mild. You aren't making a big deal out of it. And to your earlier point about I would love to help sounding fake,
Yeah, I'm still not entirely sold on that part, honestly.
don't think of it as a literal statement of desire. Think of it as validating their right to ask. You are signaling your request is reasonable, and in an ideal world, we are on the same team.
Okay.
You are actively maintaining the team dynamic before you deliver the bad news. That isn't fake, that is empathy. It is recognizing that being told no triggers a tiny flash of social rejection, and you are taking 3 seconds of your time to neutralize that sting.
Okay, I am tracking with you now. The efficiency argument actually falls apart when you look at the long-term timeline.
How so?
Well, if I use textbook directness and say, I cannot do this, I might save 5 seconds today. But if I damage that working relationship, I am going to spend the next 5 days or, 5 months dealing with the friction of a colleague who thinks I'm a cold, unhelpful robot.
Yes, exactly. You are sacrificing long-term effectiveness for the illusion of short-term efficiency.
All right, cushioning a rejection for a Friday afternoon spreadsheet is one thing. That is limb stakes office survival.
Sure.
But if we follow this logic, what happens when the stakes are existential? Like, if rejecting a minor favor requires this much social buffering, how in the world do we handle actual heated disagreements without everything falling apart?
Oh, this is exactly where the difference between textbook English and advanced high EQ English becomes absolutely critical to your success.
Let's escalate the scenario using the notes from our sources. Say you are in a meeting. A colleague or a boss pitches a new strategy, and, based on hard data, that it's going to fail. It will lose the company money.
High stakes, definitely.
The textbook, ruthlessly efficient response to get this data across is, your opinion is wrong.
Ouch. Yeah, don't say that.
I know. Even for someone who aggressively defends efficiency like me, reading the phrase, your opinion is wrong out loud feels like a physical slap in the face.
Because it is a massive social attack.
Hey.
It's the ultimate hand grenade.
But here's my challenge to that. If their opinion really is wrong, and the company is steering toward an iceberg, how do you soften that without losing the urgency and strength of your argument?
Yeah.
Like, if I pat it with too many softeners, won't people just ignore the warning? Don't I need to be forceful to stop a disaster?
It is a common fear, but we have to separate being forceful from being destructive. Let's break down the mechanics of human psychology during a disagreement. If you stand up in that meeting and say, your opinion is wrong, what physically happens inside the other person's brain?
Their defenses go up. They probably feel embarrassed in front of the team.
It is deeper than just embarrassment, though. It is a neurological event. The amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for the fight or flight response, instantly fires. They feel attacked.
Yeah.
And when the amygdala hijacks the brain, the prefrontal cortex, which handles logic and reasoning, essentially shuts down. They are no longer physically capable of listening to your brilliant data about why the strategy will fail. They are entirely focused on fighting back to protect their ego and their status.
So, by being efficient and cutting straight to the point, my communication completely failed. The message bounced right off their defensive armor.
Exactly. Directness triggered a threat response, rendering your data completely useless. To bypass that biological defensiveness, advanced speakers use specific high EQ strategies. They use softeners to act as a cognitive Trojan horse.
A cognitive Trojan horse? I love that.
The sources give us a few perfect examples of how native speakers do this. The first one is, fair point, though I am wondering if we might look at it differently.
Fair point, though I am wondering if we might look at it differently.
Or the second one, which is incredibly powerful. I see where you are coming from, but what if we tried this instead?
Okay, I have to admit, my initial reaction to I see where you were coming from is that it still feels like sugarcoating.
How so?
What if I absolutely do not see where they're coming from because their idea is objectively terrible?
Well, because I see where you are coming from does not mean I agree with your conclusion. It means I validate your sanity.
Oh, that is a fascinating distinction. I validate your sanity.
Yes, you are telling them, I recognize that you are a rational, intelligent human being who arrived at a conclusion based on the limited information you currently have. You are validating their reality.
It's like trying to get into a heavily guarded bank vault.
Okay, I'm listening.
Saying your opinion is wrong is like trying to blow the vault door off with dynamite. You might eventually get inside, but you are going to destroy all the money and trigger every alarm in the building.
That is a perfect analogy. The alarms of the amygdala firing.
Right, but saying, I see where you're coming from is like punching in the correct security code. It disarms the emotional security system. The heavy vault door swings open smoothly, and now you can safely walk in and deposit your counterargument.
Exactly. You have bypassed the ego defense completely. And look at the second half of that phrase. But what if we tried this instead? Why is that so much more effective than saying, but here is the right way to do it?
Because it frames it as a question. What if we tried this? It sounds collaborative.
It is entirely collaborative.
Yeah.
You are shifting the geometry of the conflict. When you say you are wrong, it is you versus them.
Right.
You are standing face to face, fighting over the solution.
Right.
But when you say, what if we tried this? You are putting your arm around their shoulder, turning them around and saying, let's both look at this problem together. You put yourselves on the same team against the issue, rather than fighting each other.
Man, the way you break down the mechanics of this, it really does obliterate the efficiency argument entirely.
Yeah, kind of does.
If my ultimate goal in a meeting is to be heard and to persuade people, and being perfectly direct causes the listener to literally stop hearing me because their brain is in fight or flight mode, then blunt directness is objectively the least efficient way to communicate.
It is the ultimate communication paradox. You think you are saving time by skipping the filler, but you end up wasting incredible amounts of energy trying to force your ideas through someone's defensive armor.
Yeah, that makes so much sense.
Softeners and padding are not useless fluff. They are the essential lubricants that keep the gears of human interaction from grinding to a halt.
So what does this all mean for you, the person listening to this deep dive right now? Whether you are a language learner who is terrified of making a grammar mistake, or an executive trying to negotiate a tense $1 million deal, the big takeaway here is that you have to stop trying to be a perfect grammar machine.
Right.
You have to stop translating thoughts word for word from your brain into someone else's.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the goal is a complete paradigm shift in how you view spoken English. You need to stop focusing solely on the data transfer and start thinking constantly about the emotional temperature of your words.
The emotional temperature.
Yeah. Grammar and vocabulary are just the skeleton of the language.
Yeah.
These softeners, these buffers, these little phrases that disarm the vault, they are the flesh and blood. They are what make the language human.
I love that concept of the emotional temperature. You are constantly adjusting the thermostat of the conversation. If you sense things are getting a little too hot, if the amygdala is starting to flare, you throw in an "I see where you're coming from" to cool the room back down.
Exactly.
If you need to decline a request without freezing someone out, you pull out the a bit swamped right now to keep things comfortably warm.
Mastering that thermostat is the true hallmark of fluency. A little filler goes a very long way if you want people to actually enjoy talking to you.
Yeah.
It is the difference between being a colleague people actively avoid and being someone whose input is highly valued.
Yeah.
It is about recognizing that emotional intelligence must always take precedence over grammatical perfection.
Which is such a massive relief, honestly. You do not have to be perfectly robotic. In fact, being a little less perfect, slightly more hesitant, and a lot more human is the actual secret to high-level communication.
Absolutely.
We've spent this entire deep dive looking at how adding these softeners, the swamped right now, and the fair points creates safety, disarms defenses, and builds trust. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over on your own.
Oh, this brings up a really intriguing inverse scenario.
It really does. Because
Yeah.
if English relies so heavily on adding filler words to manage the emotional temperature, to pad the shock, and to signal safety,
Right.
what happens when you purposefully strip all those softeners away? If directness is a social hand grenade, when is absolute unpadded textbook bluntness actually the most powerful or even the most dangerous tool you can pull out of your pocket to completely paralyze a conversation?
Now that is a terrifying strategy to think about, and definitely a deep dive for another day.
Think about it next time you are tempted to drop a grenade in your next meeting. Until then, keep analyzing the words around you and keep